Hi there, welcome to the Noah Prosgrove case. Today we're continuing on discussions, but once again it's another key focused video in which I highlight how things have gone wrong within the case community. We've already previously looked at the police, how they may have handled stuff or incorrectly done it and missed out on opportunities. What about the community aspect, the online part, post-death of Noah, with the ongoing investigation? When it comes to the communication, the interactions, questions, answers, post, interpretations, it's been a bit of a mess, but I'll tell you something, it would have been a little bit more under control if I had been present from day one. And that might sound very bold to say, and normally I wouldn't say it. I only tend to make points like that when I've been around long enough, kind of, within a case, because it doesn't matter how long I've done true crime for, or just mysteries or missing person cases, each one can be different and each one has a different community and set of people. You'll always get some bad people and you'll always get some good ones, but the mindsets and just the uniqueness of each person is different each time with each case you go into. So whilst it may come across as you've got experience over time, I don't just rely all on that. Each case is new and almost like a refresh, a restart when learning again and picking up on all the details and the patterns. You can argue and say it just so happens that there are some patterns and trends which follow over from previous cases in terms of human behaviour and actions and the way it all goes about and the lifespan, the cycles in general. And once again, yes, I've made predictions and they have come true and I was right yet again over and over. But what can I do right here, right now to highlight the dysfunction, what's gone wrong, why, how it could have been better, and is there any appliance for the future? Any appliance in which it could help anyone watching right now within this case or within future cases? Because if you are interested in true crime or missing person mysteries, you're likely to look at other ones in between or more so in the future. And it's how do you deal with the encounters with people? And at the end of the day, others will just say, online, you don't see someone's face. It's just a presence of something, like an inanimate object. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. A human is a human behind a wall or face to face. Doesn't matter. If there's a real person present, it's somewhat real. So it just needs to be acknowledged and still treated the same way. Not everyone will agree, but just bear with me. Welcome to those that are currently hearing this live premiere. Feel free to share your thoughts and opinions, reactions in the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen. What I also do want to do a brief acknowledgement very shortly before we go any further is just to highlight a new milestone on this channel. And then if there is time later, I'll also be looking at some comments previously from the last video, catching up there, answering any questions and whatnot. And yeah, it's just like a bit of a mixture of a video. I don't expect this video to do well at all in performance. It's probably going to be a failure, but it's just things that need to be ticked off the list and cleared up. The time of the day to be able to construct a Kenny Veach video at this time is just not possible, I need to get all the other shit back from the old phone onto the new one with that whole debacle, and then I'll have more material to work with and reference points with other cases. That's work in progress. So just do with what I've got at the moment. If you do want to leave a comment down below or you got any questions, drop a comment under this video. You'll find a pinned message as well with additional links if you do want to support this channel. Shout out, for example, Cleo last night for her multiple super chats, super stickers. Very good of her. If you do want to catch up on recent coverage by me, previous videos, top right corner, there'll be an eye symbol. Click up there and then you'll be redirected and you'll see the full playlist. In terms of the order of how we're going to do things today, we're just going to get straight on into it and highlight the milestone first. So, managed to reach 15,000 subscribers, which is obviously a good thing. Shout out to those that have subscribed along the way. Realistically, the numbers don't quite match up to the subscriber count, but when does it? Often, not really with most channels out there. People come, people go. It is what it is. But, credit to those that still remain. And one thing that I've noticed, only recently, but it makes a change. People from the past, not ghost, but people from the past returning, making an appearance in the chat comment section, kind of unexpected, and some from the present who may have faded away slightly and then popped up again. It's never really happened that before, all at once. So kind of interesting, isn't it? Change of things. But yeah, it's good to reach the 15,000 subscriber mark. Don't think it's possible to get to 20,000 at all by the end of this year. I know last year, I think I set a certain target. I tried pushing as much as possible, putting in lots of effort, but never quite reached the target. So I'm going to be more realistic this time round. The subscriber count normally boost goes up fast if you move on to a new case, a new community. You know, it's kind of self-explanatory, but there's no rush for that because I prefer just sticking with one case at a time. In terms of any targets, marks that I want to be reaching or hope to reach at some point in the future, in case anyone was wondering, I think it would be quite good to be able to reach maybe 5,000 views per video, if possible at some point, you know, averaging that. And then sometime in the future, pushing it slightly, maybe 10,000 views per video. One thing that was quite surprising to see is some of my older videos on my channel have been slowly growing passively in the background, and a couple more have been able to reach over 100,000 views, which I never thought would happen. I was kind of thinking it might have been a one-off in the past, but it's kind of happened again. It's very slow, but you know, things happen. Not all cases. It's only Kenny Veach, Dylan Rounds, no. No Presgrove, probably not. So I can understand the patterns and how things go, but you know, it is where it is. So yeah, that's pretty much it for there. Just wanted to acknowledge it. So now we probably should just move on to the discussion part about the community aspect, what went wrong. To reiterate what Justin Roy was getting at, whether it be on the, it would have to have been on the Justice page, from what I can remember, the official moderated one by the family of Noah Presgrove, that in the early days when the Justice page was set up, a lot of people were present, including those from the case, partygoers, witnesses, the parents of the partygoers, etc., like Caleb Newton and maybe some others. And supposedly there were some key questions and answers. Everybody all got on just fine. People were questioning Caleb and he responded in a neutral, normal way. No real signs of threats or trouble brewing. But then, with time, things started to change. Posts were deleted. Were people blocked? Maybe. But you can see that's the building blocks of where it all starts going wrong. Yes, it can't be smooth forever. There will be bumps in the road. But if you want answers to your questions and then you start pushing people away, or some kind of action is taken and it goes wrong, you're only pushing people away, you're pushing potential answers away. Now, from the opposition, the claims are that, yeah, the partygoers and everyone has cooperated just fine with the police and done everything above board and it's all under control. Does the general public deserve to see that level of communication? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, at the end of the day, it's Noah Presgrove's family that reached out to social media, online, the general public, if I'm correct in saying. Not the Millans, the Howards, the Newtons. They didn't directly reach out publicly to create something. It was the family of Noah, as you would normally expect. So I guess you can argue and say the general public doesn't deserve directly an answer or response from the other party goers, who keep to themselves to an extent and work in the shadows, as in cooperating to some extent with police, supposedly at least. But I guess from the opposition, if claims start being made outwards without the proof and evidence, or a half-hearted attempt is done, certain ones shouldn't get triggered if the general public then start questioning it or responding back with alternative points. I mean, at the end of the day, no one's perfect, but you know, you don't have to be perfect, but you can still get a good outcome. And to kind of jump ahead, the issue with the drama and the conflict can be before or after a discussion takes place, a disagreement, a misunderstanding. Typical misunderstandings are one of the biggest factors for things escalating and turning into full out blown warfare, in a way, verbally, for most part of it online. How do you eliminate that? Just be clear with your language, your wording, and don't make a half-hearted attempt at, sentence structuring and paragraphs and potential evidence along the way. Some along the way have rushed on in with some footage or a photo which wasn't even relevant to the case, but they were pushing it as in, yes, this is Noah getting killed, this is a fight taking place, this is at the party, and then it wasn't. What did that do? Well, it just tarnished the theory, the concept of a beating, and maybe reinforced more credibility in terms of an alternative form of death at a certain point in time. So the communication part is one of the biggest aspects in the case. In the background, it's worked out, from what some have said, some of the partygoers or the parents of them. But on the surface level, when it comes to online, far from the truth. It's just a complete mess. So what would I have done differently if I had been present at the start? I can't single-handedly change an entire platform or alternative place, social media like Facebook, I'm being honest, but to refer to just in recent time what's been able to happen. I've done videos on YouTube, I've asked questions, and along the way, some of those questions have been answered by key people, whether that be Justin Roy, whether it be Alicia Lee, whether it be possibly by Brooke Bounds Carter. Yeah, there might be some opposing people who don't see eye to eye together at once, and maybe on other pages, Facebook, some gears grinding, and even with like the likes of Justin Roy and certain No Press Grey family members not quite seeing eye to eye. It can be problematic, maybe when everybody's all in the same room or a handful. But on isolated occasions, when you've got everybody separated, just like a police interview, one by one, individually, they say what they've got to say, you make the notes or an observation, and then compare, contrast afterwards, without the direct conflicts and disagreements between one another, right? So in my videos, when I've done my talking and potential analysis, live chat box or the comment section down below, some key individuals have spoken out, said what they've got to say, whether you agree with it or not, and it's that straightforward. Not everybody may agree with it, but it just seems so simple and easy. It's not all in one go, it's not rushed, because the videos that I do are focused and are of a specific nature and event within the case or a timeline. On Facebook, it's open discussions, and that's good, but it can be very difficult to track. It can be overwhelming when there's 600 comments in a thread, whereas on my channel, there might be 50 to 100, which isn't as bad. And just visually, it's easier to monitor all the comments, the replies, the additional stuff. It's not dodgy, the user interface like Facebook is. It's quite simplistic on YouTube. And then the live chat, an actual live chat during a live premiere like what you'll see right now, that is saved on every video. So you can always look back at important pieces of potential information. And it also serves as a place to witness and use as evidence in the future if any prats start to act out, as we have seen previously. You can always take a look back, you can get a screenshot, you can do what you need to do with that. So, if my YouTube videos were done way back at the start, where maybe people would have been more likely to openly speak or communicate without feeling too pushed aside, could have got more answers, and you could have compared and contrasted with time. And maybe that was the beginning foundations on Facebook, but then there was changes along the way, created a bit of a bad taste in people's mouths, and then one thing led to another. There was a turning point, a catalyst, and then it just started going downhill, and it's been like that since. And it will never fix, it will never get to where it originally was at. Once it becomes fragmented, that's it. You can glue it back together, but those deep cracks will remain and can crumble at any point in the future. You think you've, rebuilt the foundations, but it's fragile. Just like when you get allegiances being pledged, peace treaties being made, temporary, long term, it still doesn't last. I've seen it in other cases and communities. It can happen here, though there hasn't, well, I wouldn't say peace treaties, but there's been changes of opinions. I mean, look at JJ Bump Ass. People don't focus on him anymore. They don't question him, do they? Ever since that Dina Rose post, where people believed in her and then she started calling out JJ, and that was supposedly misinformation or disinformation, people started siding with JJ Bumpass all of a sudden. And then when it came to, I think, maybe Jack Newton in recent time, people started siding with him. These sudden changes, side taking, what's going on? Where's that balance? I don't know if it's a word. Is fragility a word? Something tells me it's probably not, but it should be. But the instability, that all it takes is a stranger's words or points to then suddenly change people's mind to do a complete U-turn or a 360-degree spin. Even at times where a group or a person may know one another, not for that long and maybe not that deep or not that close, but they still know one another, more familiar with each other than a stranger, but a stranger blows their trumpet and then the others rally about and side with them. How weak is that? Infrastructure, weak, imploding at any point. I know there's the odd person or two on my channel which have shown that. Absolutely pathetic excuses of humans who have been cleansed now. And if any more need to be done in the future, it will be done so. Because one correlation that I've noticed, and it's not being cocky, it's just being realistic, that some of the most toxic individuals are the biggest freeloaders on this channel, and that's over time. Some of the most supportive people on this channel just so happen to be good individuals themselves, at least from what I've encountered and seen. And what does that exactly mean by supporters? Well, not to isolate anyone because we don't want any more issues. It could either be people that have given super chats, super stickers, or PayPal, or membership, or gifted membership, or contributing ideas, opinions, mentioning positive feedback towards me or my videos, right? It's a big list, but you'd be familiar with certain problematic people who we've come across with time, but at the end of the day, it's a stamina war. That's really all it is. So yeah, if I did YouTube videos way back at the start, not only would there have been a bit more control, I would have been able to make my predictions quicker, sooner, which then would have benefited other people. Some could say right now, yeah, you can talk about then, it didn't happen. What about now? What about the future? Isn't that what matters more? Well, yeah, but you need to establish some groundwork and previous discussions to then move on to what's going to be said next. I also want to highlight that if I was present way back at the start, there would have been a chance that I may have seen some footage which has since been deleted or taken down from online, right? You think of the people that have claimed to have seen murder footage of this or the highway scene of that, tampering with evidence, shower, side-by-side, whatever it may be. Because of my memory and how I can visualize it and the demonstration, I probably could have given a better reconstruction of it all compared to most. And that's just based off ability, that's it, and what I know I can do and how I have done it previously with what I've got. So it's worth taking that into mind. We apply it to right now, what's going on right now. Drama, conflict, easing a little bit, but no, it'll come back again somehow, somewhere, someplace. You get focused discussions here, there, okay. You got Reddit, which has gone quieter. There's only so much you can do and say and talk about, and people are busy. But there are some obsessed individuals that constantly whinge, whine, and cackle away like wretched dogs they are, whoever they are really, that whine about me and my coverage and my presence on Reddit. Tough shit. You don't like it, do something about it, make more posts yourself, contribute yourself. It's not that difficult. Oh, Warlight Ref is uploading too many videos. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know keeping a case alive single-handedly is such a naughty thing. Am I going to appear on Santa's naughty list? I thought I was Santa. I guess I'm not anymore. But yeah, it's absolutely stupid. But it's not in my reality. Because just like if there was a comedian who was very funny, if they're too good at what they do, then it ends up going wrong. That might not make sense to people, but it does to me. So yeah, I know balance is necessary. Oh, not too many videos of this. Balance it out with other things in between. No, not that aspect there. It's easier focusing on one case. I mean, the exception I've done some Kenny Veach videos here and there, but they've got to be light. The too focused or full on requires more time, more focus, more energy, and you want to save that for a span of coverage. And that's what I'm hoping to do once I get the material transferred over onto the new device. In the meantime, I can tick bullet points off within this case, which is obviously needed. So whilst it's quite late on into this case by now, I think I've done 167 videos on this particular no Presgrave case. What are my predictions for the future? My predictions are, it wouldn't surprise me if certain humans that walked away from here, come back on their hands and knees, covertly, most likely. Wouldn't surprise me. Those that complain and whine about my coverage or the consistency, at the end of the day, they'll be trapped in a forever never-ending cycle for as long as I do videos, because if I'm really the only one consistently doing it, they've got nowhere else to go. So it shows a level of desperation within them, doesn't it? But they've also got no choice. And that's just being realistic once again, because it is a valid observation, because who else is covering this case on a daily basis when whoever has been present may have done one-off videos, or they've not had time, or they've moved on to other cases, or people have had to step down or go quiet, go dark, whatever. People will have valid reasons, no problem there, but, you know, as for coverage, it's limited. You can't go on forever, even if the case does. There's only so much material you can work with. But maybe along the way, as demonstrated just in recent time, some people chip in with comments, points, references, key individuals within the case. They finally get a space to share their thoughts, set the record straight, clear stuff up. Whether it's truly true or BS, it gives them a chance to talk, to open up if they want. Then it gives me a chance to look at it, compare and contrast, and it prevents all the squawking and the whining from the masses, because it's more focused and concentrated, fewer in numbers, not as rushed, and more focused the video at hand, meaning the conversations, discussions that orbit around it will be concentrated and not full on. So it's perfectly in working order in that sense. And ever since I have started going outside of the box, like how I said I was going to do so at some point once I become a little bit more confident with the case and I get a better understanding, then I can start doing it. And I've done that, and it has worked. Statistically, not so much, but that might just be the timing. In terms of excess baggage, that's faded away. There has been a bit of a bidding war at times. Oh, we have to cover this. Oh, we have to do that. Oh, giving out orders, but in a demanding, entitled way. And maybe to a small degree, I took it into consideration, but then it takes it away from the originality of what I do. And ever since, I've become more focused, or I've retained that focus. Yeah, some on the sideline, Warlight Ref, you're fading away. You need to focus back on track within the case, bitch. Please, I can spin multiple plates at the same time, and I don't even have to look like a clown whilst doing it, because I ain't got no face paint, I ain't got no filters or any makeup on, even though some people think I do wear lipstick, but there we go. What's that? Oh, it was someone booking me into some kind of appointment. I thought I was the one that did that. No? Oh, I wonder what that is. I don't even know, to be honest. Whatever. So, Yeah, I mean, what can be applied to the future, though, elsewhere? It depends if you can change it. All I can say is, when it comes to other people that may engage elsewhere, be very careful with your language and wording. If you're going to state it as like you're very confident, but it's still an opinion, just be sure to say, in my opinion, my theory, my idea is supposedly what's happened. From what's been said, supposedly this happened. Got to be very careful. Yeah, it might come across as, it may not come across as confident, or you may get questioned in some ways, but it's a safer thing for yourself, so it doesn't backfire on you in the future. But it also kind of protects the case. Too often there's a lot been shouty tones, a lot of bold points being made and statements, and it's just been a bit reckless. Not on line with that, but just as an isolated event, because it's just recent to what I remember seeing, Brooke Bounds Carter said, well, the family believe it's this, that it's more so not a beating, but maybe accidental or something else. When Brooke Bounds Carter stated that and a screenshot was provided, okay, fair enough. You could argue and say, well, in that screenshot, what Robin Smith had to say, that's what she believed in then. Things have changed since. Maybe her mindset has. And if not, okay, it could be true what Brooke Bounds Carter states. But to refer to Robin Smith and her statement, what she said at some point as the whole family believe it's not a beating, that's poor interpretation, language, and wording. That's what one of the family members believes at some point, not what all of them think collectively. That's where you got to be very careful. I remember when I did a video maybe a few months ago, and I said how there's a photo here, but I don't know if it's actually applicable or directly linked to the party. And then others elsewhere, typical Reddit, whining, oh, we don't know, why are you doing it then? This is pointless. Pointless to you, but the theme of the photo applies to the party and what could have happened. Furthermore, you might think it's pointless, but at least you know up front the situation. What else do you want me to say? Oh, we've got a photo here. This is the fire. This is the burn pit where evidence was destroyed. Can I back that up? No, not at this moment. So there's no point stating it that way, unless I had evidence to back it up or a form of material. That'll have its own problems. So yeah, whilst I've used some wording, it's still led to being questioned. It can still be a lose-lose situation, but long-term overall, damage limitation. Not everybody thinks like that. Not everybody acts like that. That's why you've got the issues what you have right now and previously. But maybe one of the origins of problems, the roots, is maybe the justice page, if that's where most of the discussions took place at first, and by key people within the case and family members. If it remained open and not strict, it could have led to more answers. And like how Justin Roy said, there were some valuable discussions, but they were deleted from the page. Just imagine what could have been said and mentioned, especially so early on, because you'd hope to think that the early on discussions are some of the most important because it's closer to when the event unfolded. So people's memories more fresh and more active. The longer it goes on for, the harder it might become when retelling stories, and it could change with time slightly. I think we've already seen that. Once again, we're not just zeroing in on one side of people, because there have been inconsistencies with some party goers. It's okay saying that, yeah, these people cooperated with the police just fine and it was all okay. Then why can't the same be replicated publicly then, when some of them do talk online? As a dysfunction in itself. I mean, yeah, you can have several people at a party. Doesn't mean to say that they're going to say all the same things. They might have seen different stuff, or they might be selective with their memory, their eyes, vision, auditory, their ears. You can all be in the same room, but one person could be on a phone, another person could have headphones on, another person could be looking through a window. And then 2 are staring at one another. Are they all going to see and hear the same stuff? No. But are they all in the same room? Yeah. It happens. So what's the next best thing people could do? Oh, we're all in the same room, so we must all know the same thing that happened. No. Just use precise language and wording. Well, yeah, I was there, but actually, I'm not quite sure what actually happened. I don't remember seeing anything. I can't quite remember. It might not sound helpful, but it kind of is at the same time, because what other alternative is there? Oh, this happened, that happened, and then the story changes. This happened, that happened, then the story changes over and over again. That's more confusing, more headaches. If you don't know, then you don't know. Just like with life. Certain aspects in life, if you don't fucking know, then you just don't know. You need an answer, you need help, but you don't know how. And you don't know. Simple as. Yeah, it's very simple. Might not be that helpful, but I'm being realistic. So, yeah, it all comes more so down to the communication factor and the language and wording, whether it be verbal or text-based. That's where it's all gone wrong. Not as wrong on this channel because it's more under control. I joined late. It's unfortunate. If I was earlier, would have been even more under control. Even more of a better understanding with stuff. But here's what it is. At the time of when this case was unfolding, I think I was still covering the Dylan Rounds case in 2023, because that was still happening there. And I was having to defend myself in other ways, being attacked elsewhere. That's the only other consistent part, because you know what we need to acknowledge is, I'd argue and say that there are more disruptors within these cases who aren't even a part of the case. They're just members of the general public randomly acting out. Certain same-sex individuals that claim to care about the case, but yet their actions and words don't quite link up with their original mindset. It's kind of pathetic, but it happens. Normally you would think resistance or any trouble or backlash would be directly from those within a case that are responsible, who don't want others getting close to the truth. And most of the time that's what it should be. But the various and varying levels of tension, pettiness, childish behaviour, impetuous mindsets have been by non-party goers, non-family members. I've seen it myself. Just random, everyday people that claim to care about the case but will do as much as they can to either discredit me or push me away from the case. What good's that going to do? Absolutely pathetic, right? And it can apply to other people that have been attacked or questioned on Facebook or wherever else, Reddit. That is a major dysfunction, because normally when it comes to a case, the minority will be more focused on who could be responsible or who knows what's going on. And then the majority are going to be the audience, digitally or in real life. And when you compare the ratio of resistance from general public towards someone in the case or in the community, compared to those within the case who may issue out threats or resistance, at least from my experience, I'd say the majority is from the general public who are being problematic and not those directly within the case. And that is very concerning, isn't it? What the hell's that all about? Now, there might have been some comments made recently by Brooke Bounce Carter saying how, you know, this could be cleared up, that could be cleared up if there was a chance, if people actually listened. I guess that partially highlights the breakdown in communication in the past. Try and allow people to speak or say what they've got to say, acknowledge, and then move on from there. Not everyone's had that chance. Some have had red carpet treatments, other people haven't. And it's kind of been a bit selective. That's an issue as well. Selective hearing. Hearing only what you want to hear or believe, and then impacts your judgment down the line. And the issues with people emotionally connected to the case, you can't blame those who are truly connected to Noah, maybe more so in real life, or friends or family members, get that. But when you got members of the general public emotionally charged and connected with the case, which can cloud their judgment, lead to selective hearing, what they want to listen to or reach out to and stuff, those type of people can also, some, not all, but some can be problematic as well. I'm just highlighting, these things. What can you take from this? Certain behavior, certain types of people, you see them in the future, just be more cautious, careful, and know what to expect. That's pretty much it. You won't be able to prevent it completely, but you can reduce it to an extent, or at least reduce the exposure you are put out to when you come across. Can I make any predictions about this case being solved or resolved? No. It's a grey area. There's talks of, well, there is evidence, and it is pretty concrete, and it has been handed over. But has it led to a resolve, any more direct action since? On the surface level, not at all. You could be told, made to believe that there is stuff happening. It's hard to believe. Once you've seen it, well then yeah, more believable. A waiting game, you could argue. If by some chance you could compare the Warwick city manager and that ongoing investigation which started January 2024 and reached a bit of a head some weeks ago when he was arrested, quite a long investigation. It's taken time, collecting stuff along the way by the OSBI. How tied are the OSBI with the Noah Presgrove case? Does anyone know? If they play a major role, the same could happen there with Noah, as in like with the city manager. Progress, investigation, but over time. But arguably longer, much longer than the Warwick city manager case. But then again, it's because you're dealing with multiple people in the Noah Presgrove one, multiple potential people of interest and party goers, a level of depth behind that. As for the social hosting laws, rules, will there ever be a follow-up there? I mean, it seems like one of those things that probably should have happened immediately, if it was going to be, and then following on with possible charges made, depending on the cause of death with Noah, but that was deemed as unknown. Not enough progress made there past that point. I'm guessing if there was a stronger understanding of the cause of death done properly at the time, we had no choice but for authorities to push a bit further into it. Do you think there is any chance whatsoever that either police or the medical examiner had a decent idea as in what the actual cause of death was, but they chose to like play a blind eye, play dumb? Ooh, actually, we don't really know what it could be. Now, a little bit off subject, besides all the problems, one question or discussion was, Noah Presgrove and his mismatched shoes, did he put him on himself or did someone else put them on his body? To put them on Noah's body would more likely be to stage, let's say, a hit and run. Why else would you be dressing almost like a mannequin? For what other reason, right? I was thinking if Noah put them on, it's probably because he was walking about and wanted to protect his feet with some footwear and couldn't find his other shoe, so he just put on the next best thing. And with being drunk, probably not really caring that much either. There is that. If Noah was quite okay taking the keys from Jack in some way to get in that side-by-side, I'm sure Noah wouldn't have a problem borrowing or stealing someone else's shoe. When you put it into perspective like that, especially with being drunk, you're not going to highlight the consequences the same way. Now, using someone else's shoe, there's not going to be much consequences there, especially if you know the person or you're friends with them, like Caden. So it wouldn't be that problematic anyway. But honestly, if shoes were put onto Noah at some point, it would be odd. You'd only put them on if you were trying to make it appear a certain way, almost as if you're staging it to appear a certain way, as in the death. We don't need to go too far there because it might become a bit of a broken record. I think what we probably should do now, because if I do think of any additional points, I can always add it on towards the end of this video, but I think right now we should just acknowledge previous comments from the last video that I did, see if there's any questions that need answering, and then we'll go from there. Who knows, maybe there's some more ideas. If I just arrange it to the latest, we don't have too many to go through, which is good. Cleo there, good one today. I'll catch up soon. Take care, you too. Shout out to Cleo. Badger, catching up. Good to see Badger still about. CC, guy named Gage. Lol, what? Yes, that's a snow cone place. We have them all over Texas. They all look like that. What, that small little building? I thought that's what I saw as well, but the poster could never say whether it was that guy or Avery that provided the transportation. Yeah, Gage, I believe is the name. Maybe a standalone focused video will be needed about that. So there's more awareness there and then more questions with possible answers along the way. I will do a video about that at some point. What says, Union Jack, what can you tell us about Rangers' history from England? Later England to pay a large group of Rangers to live in the USA and patrol the countryside. No clue what that's about. The reason why kids go barefooted and shirtless and shorts is because they're very poor, cannot afford basic, regular replacement wardrobes. No, I think it's just because it's quite hot out there. Most of these kids come from old money. Not like the old money, Oklahoma, history is short. They're not poor. Yeah. What not? They've been around for a bit on the channel. Oklahoma has 3 groups. Right. So everyone in Oklahoma is poor. Search Freemasonry, Mafia. Oh no, we're back to this again. Right, well, you can read the comments if you want. Teach USA history in schools. What? Shout out to Glenn. Tammy, don't make fun of them for trying to make money. Who's making fun of them? Why do you feel the need to laugh at these people? Who's laughing, Tammy? What are you on about with your vague comments? We got this person here, Michaela. I wonder if people there eat this every day. I don't know. Now, I did see Michaela commenting on another channel, reacting to a particular person that was commenting, making false claims about me and another individual. And I know Michaela reacted with almost like a shocked face, whether that be shock as in questioning the possibility it could be true or not. If you do want to elaborate, feel free to do so. No pressure. I'm just, observations, that's all. Rebecca, Caden, Mr. Perfect. Do I think Caden Pressey is perfect? No, because not many people are. Do I feel though Caden has been 100% consistent? No. There's been a few changes along the way. Other people have said that and have been attacked for it. That's a problem in itself, isn't it? See, I'm not directly referring to anyone's name here, but if you've got a poster person or someone's on a bit of a pedestal, people look up to, bow down to, whatever, and treat as a beacon of hope or light in a case. If anyone else questions that beacon, there'll be a bit of a mob attack at times. But, you got to question even the polished individuals. Let's say you've got a treasure chest full of gold, but some of it is silver and other bits are bronze. You got to question it all. Look at each piece equally. You never know what you might find. Mark, what if the plan was hatched Saturday and what if at breakfast Noah said something to the guys that got back to the girls? Now, if I'm correct in saying, I'm sure I saw Mark over on the other channel as well saying, well, if you are right what you claim about Warlight Ref, then maybe some apologies need to be made. At the end of the day, no apologies need to be made here when one has it all under control from day one. The reality is, when it comes to humans, especially in the Dylan Rounds case, hardly anyone apologised to me for what they've done and what they've said, how they tried attacking me and spreading Chinese whispers and whatnot. You know why people didn't want to apologise? Is because they had to accept full responsibility. When it came to cretins upon cretins having it out with one another, apologies were made there because it was a 50-50, both are responsible, equal parties. But with having higher standards here, it's one-sided. People don't want to take full responsibility for their pathetic performances, mindsets, behaviours. So, yeah. There was a time, though, where a couple did apologise, and why was that? Because the catalyst Warlight Ref, when he's not a catalyst, he's a ghost in real life or elsewhere. The catalyst then led to responses by people. Apologies made. Yeah, Not exactly natural, is it? Very interesting. Moving on. Nancy Pants. That's a good name. I graduated from Warwick High School, and from my understanding that Jack, Noah, Cade and Caleb and whoever went to Warwick to have breakfast was at what us locals call the truck stop, also known as JW Truck Stop, which is now Casey's. We do eat at the Quick Mart, but it's not really known for breakfast food like the truck stop is, which is probably what they wanted after a night of heavy drinking. There's also a boat ramp in Comanche to launch your boat in Warwick Lake. Big enough, it touches 3 counties, which is most likely where Caleb went, versus going all the way through Warwick and down Highway 5 out to the other boat launches. So, shout out to Nancy for sharing her point of view, and her knowledge can be very helpful and straight to the point. All good there. I do believe that when I did my map analysis, I did make reference to Casey's, although no photos were provided, but there was a photo of a sign saying JW. So I was kind of close. Safia, thank you for the information. Nice to hear. Miss, there were a lot of prejudiced people against Native Americans in the area, as soon as allegedly known as land thieves, want them native gone, clear right. What else? We got Shari Allen. I'm thinking it's in a video where Noah is running, grabbing signs of the side of the road. What video is that? What day? What timestamp? How relevant to the party? Never heard that before. Nancy, the poster of the missing man, that guy, I think he was called Bryce or something, is still under investigation. He is from Walters, Oklahoma, Cotton County. Elderly man who disappeared without his medication he needed as well found. Right. Okay. So with what Nancy Pants says here, the fact that he hasn't got his medication, is that what caused his disappearance in the first place, or at least what's caused him not to return back home safely? Something like this is reminding me of the Christine Passay Parker case, who may have been in her 50s, which occurred in 2023, I believe, and I did actually cover that. And she had an accident in the past which caused damage to her head, led to her needing to take medication regularly, and when she stopped, side effects, the mind is slightly discombobulated, panicking, worrying, memory loss issues, whether that be I think it might have been short-term memory issues, and some other stuff. So at a time of when she wasn't taking her medication before going missing, it led to her panicking, fleeing the area where she was supposed to be picked up by her husband, who was coming to help her because she originally called for help. And was that called Battleground, Nevada? Or am I getting mixed up with another named place, like a town? Maybe Battleground, Nevada? But anyway, ended up driving down the Dwight D. Eisenhower Highway as if you're going towards Eugene Mountains, and her vehicle was actually found there, stuck on a rock or so to some extent. Phone, purse, things like that were left by the side of the vehicle, must have fallen out. She must have wandered off, not in the right frame of mind. The dogs missing, I don't know if they were ever recovered, or maybe they were later. But as for her, she was later found dead, but slightly away from Eugene Mountains, but in the rural open area, which is quite odd how when search and rescue helicopters horseback were out there, they did not locate her. You think they would have done, but yeah. So her disappearance was partially caused by being absent with the medication beforehand. As for this elderly man disappearing without his medication, does that mean he wandered off somewhere, or may have been taken by someone, never returned back, never had the chance to take that medication with him? So, good fact there's a follow-up there. We got Sharon, amazing live ref. That's good to know. Shout out to Sharon. Sharon369, damn she fine. Oh God, that's so fucking cringy. Let's move on quick. It's just because it rhymed. This is the thing, sometimes such a good flow. And I think, oh shit, is that a bit too much? Right, Beth, great coverage and questions. For some reason, We don't hear much about Mikey, Isaac, and Caleb. You know what, let's just acknowledge that first. Shout out to Beth Rose. Up to now, a good individual, contributed a lot, sharing a lot of thoughts, sharing a lot of comments, which is really helpful. It does spread awareness, it does help the videos, and it creates new ideas. So yes, shout out to Beth. Where do I start first? We don't hear much about Mikey. Now, when I hear the term Mikey, especially when it's spelt as in the full name, it always reminds me... Is it Mikey or is it Mickey? I don't know, from WWE where he's like, Mickey! Maybe it might be Mickey, not Mikey. Oh boy, good start. But I would argue and say we've actually heard much more about Caleb, Isaac and Mikey compared to the likes of Stephanie Millan. Stephanie Millan is one of the most under-the-radar individuals out there. A person that directly claimed themselves that they were a party goer, yet never referenced by others like Caden as in present there. Only present after the party, post-death news of Noah at around 6:30 onwards or so with Renee, the mother. Jasmine Millan has been talked about a lot. But if we're referring to what Kane said in Partners in True Crime interview, that when it came to breakfast time Sunday morning, Jasmine Millan wasn't there. Where was she then? Isn't that weird? Long-time friend, close to the others, that group, that band of people present Saturday, but Jasmine disappears on a Saturday night or Sunday morning. Why? Where? Or remains at the house? No reference or acknowledgement whatsoever. Caleb has been talked about extensively because there's been a lot to refer to with the Warwick boating accident in 2020 to another family member or some other guy dying for a vehicle related thing, which some people have questioned. And then Caleb, whether he was at the party or not, which some people have been pointing out. Now, do I think Caleb was at the party? Well, I've not seen any evidence to suggest or prove that, but the fact that supposedly Caleb was with the guys, including Noah, Sunday after breakfast, doing whatever, wherever, is kind of interesting, isn't it? There we go. Beth says bump ass. I did see a picture of Noah at breakfast wearing a shirt, as most places with food require shirt and shoes or no sews. Fair enough, but that's very interesting because I've never seen it. Not sure if it was that day or not. Okay, well, at least you've clarified that. May I ask, Beth, where did you see it, though, in the first place? As for, where it came from, was it on Facebook? Was it on Noah's profile? Was it posted by someone else? Do you remember where it came from, what platform, and if it's still available? Could be worth looking into. You never know. What was the name of the guy with the rifle at the party? So I responded, Isaac Rojas, 12 gauge shotgun. And in fairness, you could have heavily questioned Isaac Rojas just for that. The only person on in-camera angle shot to hold a gun. Ooh, does that make him prime suspect number one? No, because I guess with, being asleep, resting, and with Caden backing that up because of what he witnessed, it reduced the levels. What it goes to show is, if there is a strong and true alibi, even if you did questionable things before, earlier on, it can be squashed because of that alibi. If Isaac wasn't asleep at the time of when Caden was, and he was awake, then I think it would have held a lot more weight with Isaac caught on camera with that 12 gauge shotgun earlier. Justin, here we go. Gage J gave Noah a ride to the party with Mikey and a few other boys. So maybe I'll include this in the title of this video too. The driver of Noah revealed, Gage J. But, how significant is Gage? A couple of questions are left here, no response just yet, but maybe we can update it later. Who contacted Gage J, I think also Jessen, if that's his name, Gage Jessen, to pick up the guys, including Noah? And did Gage attend the party? Is he friends with the Millans, Newtons, Howards, etc.? Why of all people would a person called Gage be the one to pick up these guys? Is it because the others were at the party house and felt, well, there's no point in going back out and covering 42 miles, we'll just contact someone else who's more local to get the job done. But what does Gage get out of it? Is he just a taxi service guy? If he could have given Noah a lift to the party Sunday, why couldn't he have given Noah a lift back home then? Guess it depends where he was at the time. Justin. They ate breakfast about a mile to the north. What is now Casey's truck stop at the four-way stop? This is the Quick Mart, wrong location. Well, I believe I did look at Casey's truck stop, or a named one like that, but there was just no photos provided. I tried covering a vast array of places within the area. Unfortunately, not all media is shown. Amanda, who gave Noah a lift back to the party? Gage Jessen did, supposedly. But why is his name not mentioned much at all in the case? Is it like with a Shandy? Only made a brief appearance, wasn't around long enough. Wasn't around on the actual day of when things happened to Noah. That's a possibility. But you know what? Like what Beth was saying, how certain names not mentioned since. Put aside Mikey, Isaac, Caleb, it would be more so Stephanie Millan, top of the list. JJ Bumpass, possibly. But more so, let's just put him aside for now, because I'm basing it off what Caden made reference to, what he witnessed. So Stephanie Millan, top of the list. Claiming to be there, but no one really mentioning her name. Who else? Travis Monson. Colton Newton, and a skinny individual like how Caden referenced. Key people that were present there, maybe Sunday night, with the exception of Stephanie. Monday morning, a bit of a crossover. Not as much focus there. Maybe there needs to be. You can leave your comments down below if you want to add on with that. But it appears we have reached the end of the comment section here. Hopefully you found this video somewhat interesting, a bit of a roundup summary of all little bits and bobs. Be sure to hit the like button and share it so more people see, spread that awareness of the discussions and some names which have been forgotten about since. We'll see what happens next, if there's any more twists, turns or shocks. For now, my name's Warlike Ref. I'll see you next time. Goodbye, good night for now.